Hi guys, Z here. You know what I love the most in this game? Being able to play it well, after doing something else entirely, so that's probably a close second in my mind. But it's getting pretty difficult to do as of late because of Legendary Black Knight, or at least a portion of it, because Aether Raids is still Aether Raids and Summoner Duels is still Summoner Duels. And I don't think it's just me. Or at least I hope it's not just me. I'd feel really, really sad if it was just me dealing with this. What really surprised me at the end of the last arena season was my arena assault rank, because I tend to hover around the high 2000s, low 3000s. Only the skyrocket up to rank 1050. And I don't believe that my score was really that amazing either. I kind of tend to go around the 766 area, sometimes peaking in the 770. I just think Legendary Black Knight is affecting a lot of people's runs and anything really with arena. But it feels especially bad because it's arena, and you know, it probably shouldn't take as long as it's taking the complete. Some people might get lucky, it's probably not an issue, but let me tell you, I've never spent as much time doing arena stuff nowadays as I've probably done in like any other time in Fae. Legendary Black Knight is still ridiculous in basically every mode, but you know, the difference between him in Aether Raids and Summoner Duels versus arena is that you at least have so many more tools at your disposal to try and counter him. You can't exactly do that with much ease if you're attempting to score well in arena though, because the BST requirements and skill SP cost play a massive role in the mode. But because of that, arena modes have easily become my least favorite thing in the entire game. It's crazy because it's at a point where I'd consider something like Summoner Duels to be more enjoyable, and you know, that bar is low, like really low. Like really low. But imagine being below the Summoner Duels bar. Arena modes are actually just so miserable right now if you're trying to get your best possible run in. And to be quite H, I'd rather not be miserable trying to play this game. At least any more than I already am. Okay, I'm going to show you this right now. I'm going to go into Arena Assault. We're going to hit Battle. First thing we're going to see is a Legendary Black Knight. Maybe. Oh, it's even worse. Look at this. Look at this. Man, that sure was fun, wasn't it? You know he'll be gone after fire season, right? You, whoever's thinking that, you, my summoner in Christ. I've probably talked about this before on the channel, at least in some kind of video, or maybe I'm assuming I did, but if I didn't, then I'm definitely going to say it now. There is a really big difference between power creep currently and power creep back then. Even with some of the most annoying threats in the game, you could build stuff at a free-to-play level to beat them. A lot of that stuff was just readily accessible, and they did work. And yeah, it wasn't great passing around a bunch of resources and dedicating units to specifically countering others, but you know, you could at least do something. You didn't automatically lose as a result. Nowadays, you do just automatically lose if you don't have the right units or effects that almost always are pretty difficult to get because they have to be, and at large quantities too. In fact, having the right effects may not even mean anything half the time because Imbue just constantly lets them heal back more HP than damage taken in a lot of cases. Like sure, you could bring Scout to Arena, yeah, he can't get his special off, isn't that great? You're still not killing him though, so what point does it matter, you know? Stalemating is cool because you're not exactly losing, but if you're not beating him, that's still a loss because it doesn't matter if the AI can't beat you. If you can't beat them, you gotta surrender. And it's also just really annoying to deal with because it's not like he's completely invincible. It's just that everything you could do to fight him doesn't perform well in arena modes, which just arbitrarily makes it more difficult and time consuming. And at least with Arena Assault, you could just use anything after the first match, but that's assuming they're also in season and you know, they could actually beat him to begin with. Honestly, maybe if it didn't take as long or was entirely luck dependent on not running into him often enough to end an arena run, I probably wouldn't be as annoyed. IS could implement a system that makes the process of clearing runs much more smooth. Maybe. I don't know, honestly. They haven't exactly had the best track record as of late, but considering this is IS we're talking about, we're just gonna have to put up with it until something worse takes its place. But hey, maybe there's already existing Legendary Black Knight counters currently. Like for instance, Legendary Black Knight can get countered by, get this, Legendary Black Knight himself. You know when the most consistent way to counter him is by using him? That's probably what many would consider bad game design. You could use units that disable his special like the new Noir and Fagado with Legendary Black Knight support. Okay, maybe something that doesn't require Black Knight at all. Erica Ring Brave Crom might be able to do it. with some extra help. I do that in Aether Raids, but he's got Rune and Ninja Lucina and Emblem Sigurd backing him up, and I'm not sure how much of that is really needed. Probably a lot, if basically all of it is needed, because the last time I checked without it, he probably wasn't dealing enough damage. Better safe than sorry, at least. The Surtur count? I used him in Arena Assault last week, and that helped me defeat him. I brought that up in the video before, too. I was really that desperate. Maybe Surtur didn't need a refine after all. The one nice thing is that he doesn't get any defense swings from his weapon, so you should be able to defeat him with blue melee units that have the Erica ring equipped and the desperation effect somewhere so they can hit 4 times in a row. That's still a lot, but you know it's something, right? At least that's what I'm assuming, if they could also debuff his defense a good bit, since his Hardy Bearing is based on defense. But we know this by now, the game doesn't run off logic. It runs off pain, and misery, and money. And sometimes logic. Is there anything else I'm missing? I guess you could remove his bonuses with bonus negators potentially, but I don't think that's reliable if he's the last unit on the map. He might be able to even sweep your entire team without these bonuses too, so I'm gonna be real. I'm just completely stumped on him currently. Legendary Black Knight is a cool unit with fun support at least, and it does help out a lot of nukes because reflex status is really strong, but it really does feel awful at times having to fight him. And considering how common he is right now, I might have to bump up at times to a lot. And no, this is not one of those things where it's like, oh, Black Knight's really cool until I have to fight him, you know? I just think there could have been ways to make it so he wasn't so annoying to fight in AI. And I'm not talking about like Aether Raids defense AI. I'm more so talking about like Arena because, you know, that's like the big main mode. He really feels like a combination of Emblem Ike and Attune Micaiah at their respective peaks. The former was almost an instant loss and the latter countered themselves, which, you know, that was really important when she came out. At least Black Knight's player phase isn't as good as Ike's, but, you know, he's good at everything else that matters, so wow, that's so fun. And the thing is, they could have actually just kept him as is, except just change one thing about him, and this really wouldn't be a problem. It really just boils down to the condition, because it's, you know, 25% HP, or enemy phase, and getting him below 25% HP for it to, you know, actually work when he player phases is really, really, really difficult. Like, instead of him having those effects, why didn't he just have something that was like, if he's within 3 spaces of an ally, he gets all these things, right? He would arguably still be just as effective in basically every single mode, but the difference being that you didn't have to blow your brains out trying to do your arena run. This was the same logic I had with units like Marnie too, because it's not like these units are outright unbeatable, but changing up a little detail about them can at least make these types of units a lot less annoying while also still retaining basically everything they need to perform in every single mode. Conditions in general are also just so free half the time that it makes me wonder why some units even have them to begin with. Actually, that gives me a really good idea for a new type of unit. This hypothetical unit inflicts a brand new status or drive effect, something that could just stick, I guess, called Thinking, that converts all weapon conditions into something else instead. So rather than having an HP condition or an enemy phase condition, now you need a condition of having to be within 3 spaces of 3 allies to function. You know, kind of like a Legendary Male Lear and Winter Lear. Specifically them. They could even take it a step further and make up a brand new condition that requires thinking. Ah yes, if you are listening, you're free to steal my ideas. And then make the game 10 times worse with the idea. And you know what? Actually, I changed my mind. I want it back. You're not allowed to have it. I'm copywriting it. Go away. You can't. Go away. Stop. Just no more. Mine. Okay, but let's be real. They're probably just gonna hard counter him sometime in the future. I'm gonna give it 6 months. Maybe that's being a bit generous. Maybe it's not. I don't really know. All I know is that that's just kind of how IS functions with a lot of this stuff anyway. But the one thing I'll at least give a Black Knight is that even if they just kind of make him a really bad tank, I feel like until damage reflection just becomes bad, which I don't think it will, but you know, don't quote me on that. They could do anything with the game, or they just outsource it to somebody who's just even better. I feel like he's probably not gonna fall off just because that support really is good. Might just be good enough on its own merits, even if he falls off as a tank. And you know, we'll probably be looking back at this next year after Legendary Black Knight falls off, thinking about how these were the better times. At least I'm hoping he falls off by that point. Remember when Legendary Black Knight was good, guys? I want to go back to those days. It's crazy because we're going to get used to newer, annoying stuff that makes us think this was considered tame. Also, you definitely don't want to go back to older times and a lot of eras of Fae for that matter, because I promise you, you did not miss it. You're just dealing with worse and you think it's worse. It's all relative. I don't believe you want to go back to a lot of these. It's just different breeds of annoying and bad in some cases. Not the ones where you could at least build counters though. Those were actually pretty good times, I'm not gonna lie. And if there was any takeaway to be had from this video, Just stop playing arena modes. But I really, really want those dragon flowers.
This will end you.
You know, maybe the solution is just not to do the highest difficulty, because maybe then you'll at least beat it. Unless that difficulty also happens to have a legendary Black Knight build. In that case, you know what? Good luck with that. That's all on you. I got nothing. That's it. Have fun.